unmute.
Hello again.
Hi.
We're here.
Back.
It's still Tuesday.
It is. It's Tuesday. It's been a weird couple of hours.
It has.
Yes, crazy, crazy. It's always crazy.
You know
here.
why? It's because we've been partying.
We've totally been partying. We had ice cream and inappropriate conversations and all kinds of things
All
that
kinds of
happen
fun things.
at a party.
Yep.
So today we thought we would share some fun stuff that you can piece in the hoop. So we're going to be showing you some of our favorite little blocks that we have.
From Kimberbell.
From Kimberbell, absolutely.
So the thought process behind this was coming from
the Perfectly Pieced. So that is going to start on the 1st. So just in a couple of days.
Those should start coming. You should start seeing that
Friday-ish. Yeah, and so we thought maybe you don't know what
the heck that means.
What Perfectly Pieced is about, what piecing in the hoop is about. If you aren't a quilter and you want to be a quilter, or you're a quilter and you're
a little bit of blue in your
do
lip.
I have? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of blue frosting.
Probably not much I can do about it. So Jean bought in an Oreo ice cream cake.
Oreo ice cream
that had blue frosting.
It was very good, and they put very, very bright blue.
Smurf blue.
Very, very Smurf blue.
Yep.
Very blue.
So if I look blue, it's he did that, I'm sure, because he wanted to match my glasses and my shirt today.
He knew it was blue day.
It was blue day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyways, Lisa and I thought maybe we would show you a little bit about what piecing in the hoop is. I love a good perfect point.
Absolutely. And if you can cheat, why not?
Yeah, it is kind of, it's a little bit like, it definitely is cheating. It gives you perfect points, and it is a little less stressful. A little bit more waste in fabric maybe, because you're trimming pieces that might be a little bit bigger. But if you aren't a good cutter and you struggle, or you were a good cutter and maybe now you struggle with cutting pieces, this way allows you to have bigger chunks of fabric, which make this a little bit less stressful.
Yep.
So we have a few blocks that we sort of stole from previous projects that you might have done. So if you are a Kimberbell fan, you might already have some of these blocks. We have some blocks from Lucky Us.
Yep.
Home is Where the Haunt Is. Two scoops, and
spring showers.
So
So I don't know all of the things that we'll get through, but we'll we'll work on that.
Yeah, we can definitely
we'll
on...
get started so you can see how those are.
Yeah.
So the great thing that I like about it is that if you're not a confident quilter, so maybe you're a quilter, but you're not confident. So you're like, okay, well, I can do this, but once I start seeing more than, this piece goes to this piece, and then I add that to this whole thing, like, how do I get all of this craziness? You can start to make some more complicated blocks without having that stress.
Yeah.
Which that's where I think that is a really stress relief, if you will, because it does give you that perfect block without having that. It makes you look good.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody
likes to look good?
Right? Who doesn't like that? So if you are doing even basic piecing, it gives you the ability to do some things very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
And to be clear, we don't have our perfectly pieced boxes ahead of time. So we did see the snippet that they're giving them, and we have been Kimberbell people for a really long time. So we understand what goes behind some of their blocks. So we are assuming that it is going to be a similar technique to what we are going to show you, and our understanding is based on the videos, and the description is that they're going to give you a block and they're going to give you multiple sizes of the block, which we didn't get if you bought a quilt program. You got the one size.
Right. It wasn't like you got a 4-inch, a 5-inch, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
There was no, well, I could make this, if I make it bigger, I could make this size piece of whatever, a twin size versus a full, or those kinds of things. It's when you have a block, you can't really resize those and have that work real
You
well.
can't.
It doesn't do the same thing.
It does not.
So.
And we've thought a lot about how to make perfectly pieced work as like a fun thing for the store. So we know some of you are going to get the whole package and some of you are just going to get the digital version. And we know that you might contemplate, maybe you like the fabrics, maybe you don't like the fabrics, but we think that we're going to have, Leabu is going to curate, so SnL is going to curate some kits each month.
Some kits as well.
Right.
So, you know, we do have maybe a little bit of fabric around here that we can play with. And so we both personally have purchased perfectly pieced. We have each purchased perfectly pieced personally.
Yes.
So we have that, and at least to start off with, we are both getting the fabrics as well. So that's kind of the plan there. We also have a kit coming to the store. So there's going to be a plan that we're thinking, okay, we can have this fabric, that we can have a coordinating fabric bundle so that you can expand upon the project that comes in each month, and then say, okay, I want more fabric because I want to make mine bigger. I want to make another one, or whatever that is, that we will have something that's perfectly put together.
Yes, perfectly curated for your perfectly
For
pieced
Blah,
projects.
blah, 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 blah. For that. So we do have some plans that we are hoping to put together until we actually see how it all is. So until we get that first box, we can't tell you exactly how that's going to go. And they did say that it's going to be, what, 2 to 3 yards of fabric, I think, if I remember right, somewhere in that range. So the bundle will be probably $25 to $30, depending upon how much is in there. We're looking at that price range. We're going to probably keep it around that same price point. If we can make it less, we will, because we know everybody loves a good value. So if we can make that better, then we will. But somewhere in that $20 to $30, I would think, is going to be the price points of those add-on bundles. But they will coordinate with whatever comes in the colors for that.
And we'll probably do two. I think we'll do something that is completely different.
And then something that you could add on and coordinate with.
Exactly. So for the people who aren't getting the fabric kit themselves, maybe you're just getting the electronic because maybe it's not your cup of tea. Or
and maybe even more than two, you know, so couple different, it'll just depend. We'll have to wait until we see how much we're talking about.
Right. But you should know that we are going to do something for that. So if you are thinking about getting into perfectly pieced, do it. Even if you just do the electronic version, I think you'll love it. And it'll be a lot of fun. And you'll be able to expand your creativity. And maybe you don't use your embroidery machine as much as you could. This is one of those ways where this is not a daunting task. This is not like starting this type of quilt. Like, I know many of my friends, they're quilters, and like the thought of
look
this,
at that and go, oh my Lord.
They think, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine doing that. But you should be able to imagine this, and it'll be lots of fun. And thank you guys all for the happy birthday wishes. It's very much appreciated. So.
So quilt squares can be as simple as literally a block of a 5-inch square, a 4-inch square that you coordinate with something more complicated. It can be a half square triangle, which you want to flash that. We don't need to talk about, but just super simple. Half of the triangle, half triangle of 2 different colors that you can twist and turn into pinwheels and all kinds of fun things, or simply just a diamond that you put together, or you know, all kinds of different things that you can take a very simple block and make it more complicated.
That other quilt that's over there would be so much easier done. It's all half square triangles.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yay!
that I'm very, very slowly getting done.
Well, you could totally do all those in the hoop and then sew them together.
Could, except for I didn't cut them that way. Minor detail.
And it's all cut, of course. So anyway, the lovely thing about this is you can take all of those simplistic pieces. And that's, I think, one of the joys of quilting is that it's not actually, it is all straight lines for the most part. It's just a matter of what order you put those straight lines back together in.
Absolutely.
So you can have lots of fun with that. So without further ado, let's change the one on screen there.
Yes.
And we will start stitching something. What do you say?
Let's see. What shall we do? Delete this one.
So in the hoop, I have a 5x7 hoop here, which we have not large designs chosen. And I just have a no-show mesh. You do not need fusible no-show mesh for this. So don't waste the extra money on the fusible. If that's all you have, you certainly can use it, but you don't need it. So this is just a no-show mesh, which is going to give us a very lightweight, so we're not adding a lot of bulk to our finished project. And we have some really cute options in here. So yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah,
let's go with that one.
This is like a square in a square. And it's a really cute one. And I bet you there's probably cutting lines in there. So
yep, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
We didn't bother to print the instructions, so you guys can laugh right along with us when we're going, now which piece do we do first?
Absolutely. It'll be fun. So
minor detail.
Yep. So we're just going to push go. And the first thing that it's going to do is basically
going to stitch a map.
Yeah, a map. That is a good word for it. An outline of where everything is going to be in the hoop. And keep in mind that when you have these, you will have instructions. Lisa and I, we're just brave to wing it because we feel like we've done this enough time that we know what we're doing. We obviously do not.
I haven't done this one. So this will be enjoyable. Hey, Kathy, could you do me a favor? Sure. Could you grab that green velveteen piece from straight in front of me? The one that I totally blanked at. Yep, that one. And for any of you who were watching this morning, I'll explain what you can do okay, thanks.
So the first square, I believe, was so that you could put a piece of batting in here. Yep. Because this one was part of a quilt kit. So you could certainly do that and have this be pre-quilted.
So that's always a choice. If you would like to have batting built in, that is the difference. I don't know if you can see it right here where the needle plate is. There's that little 1/4 inch there. That is that place where you could put batting in if you wanted to. So you can have that little bit in there, or you can do the whole quilt with nothing and then layer it just like you would a normal
quilt.
Just chuck that over.
Yep, and that's what we're going to assume. We're going to assume that you're just making quilt blocks, not pre-quilted blocks. These are just just making blocks.
Not pre-quilted, and we're not adding batting.
We're not adding batting
for any reason either. So,
all right.
It looks like the first line is going to be this one up here,
which is most likely a placement line.
So I'm thinking we need to place the center block and the first top triangle.
I believe you are correct.
Hey! All right. What do we want those to be?
So red looks cute for
red
the
in
center.
The center? All right.
And then maybe we can do like a ring of white.
Do white and then blue?
Blue, yeah.
All right.
Red, white, and blue.
That was my plan.
It's a good plan.
I had one. It's crazy, but you know, we tried. All right. So not sure how well you guys can see it, but there's a square right here. So when you are doing piecing in the hoop, there's a general rule. First piece is always
face up,
pretty side up. So it's a little bit oversized. I'm going to pull that down a little bit so that we can see what we're working on a little bit more. Now there's a triangle right here, and that is piece number 2. So I think we can probably stitch that, and it will show us where to place the piece number 2. And we're going white there. In general, you work from the inside out, but that's not a hard and fast rule.
True.
Just when you think you know what it's going to do, it changes on you. So I am putting white down on top of that, so I'm going to get rid of any extra red there because it will show through.
Because that line is your placement, but it's also the trim line, and you'll see what we mean by that each time we do this.
So I'm just going to get rid of the excess above there. And now this is pretty side down. So this is a white on white. So I'm going to turn that upside down. And I am going to align my fabric right on that stitch line and let it tack it in place.
And it moved forward, so now we have a seam allowance.
That perfect 1/4 inch seam.
Yes.
So for all of you who have been fighting for years to get that perfect 1/4 inch seam, you no longer have to fight. The machine will do it for you.
Yes.
Yay! All right. This is also one of those places that we could use our fabric folding pen if we chose to do so. That will elongate your process. So depending upon what you are doing, I do like it. Even if you don't use the roller, I do like to use, there's nothing in there. So we're not going to use those today because they're empty. So we're just going to fold that up. I'm going to spit on it a little bit. It's what I used to do before I had a folding pen.
It was really great to watch you do that through a mask.
I did. I literally, I was like, dang it. I entertained Sarah a lot over the last couple of years. All right, and now we're going to stitch down this side. So we're basically going to work right around that inner square.
And this is going to become a trim line and a placement. So we're going to want to trim off the excess fabric because we don't need that extra bulk in our seam.
Yep. So everything on the outside I'm going to get rid of. So I just cut over here. I'll get rid of that stuff up at the top on
another trash can?
On another pass. Nah, I'll just make a pile. I'll probably wear it. Maybe it'll be in my hair. You know, it's been that kind of day. Pretty side. That's the pretty side. All right, we're gonna go this way. And again, I'm gonna line up that edge with that stitch line, and then we're gonna tack it down, and it's gonna give us that beautiful seam allowance that we don't have to measure or worry about stitching or any of that. We're both. It's like we're Weeble Wobbles or something. All right. So again, I would normally either press or use my fabric folding pen, but I'm out of starch. It's an empty pen, so I'm just leaving a piece of myself in my quilt.
Got your fingers on the way?
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're on the bottom. So we're literally just working our way around that center square. And basically, when we are placing our pieces, we're always working pretty side down on top of the pieces that we're already stitched. So you're never going to put your fabric down out here. You're always going to be putting the fabric down on top of where you have.
Cindy says this is fantastic. It isn't a dumb question.
Nope, not at all.
You would know because your instructions tell you to. Honestly, they'll give you a step-by-step instruction on which one is the trim line, and it specifically says this is your trim line. Lisa and I have done enough of these that we aren't actually holding on to ours, but your trim line always comes before the placement line, or so it has in previous
all
versions
of the
this.
Years that we've been doing
that
this.
Cuts off the excess fabric and then basically starts your seam allowance, because we're working with an assumption of we're having a 1/4 inch-ish seam allowance. It's probably a smidge bigger than a 1/4 of an inch, but
agreed.
But we know that because that's how they designed this.
So this is basically a folded fabric technique. So if you have worked with any folded fabric technique, the piecing of those in the hoop, that is really what we're doing. And it basically will hide all of your seams. And it's the same way. So unless you are doing a quilting stitch on top of it, you're not going to see stitches.
Nope.
It will hide each and every one of them, which is awesome. All right. So now we are having, I've turned that, I tacked it down, I turned it, so this will be the trim And then at the same time, that is also my placement line. And it's going to move on me right as I'm trimming. So once you start going over top of areas, you generally do have a seam line that you'll start getting areas that you can't quite stitch, cut through. That's completely normal and it's fine. So there's nothing wrong. It's all good. I just need to get a piece that's gonna work.
So Cindy said that she is struggling with the pinwheel block in the Lucky Us pillow. While you do that, let me look at what that is and see. I can bring it up and we can work on that next.
All right, so this is the fourth side, so I am lining that up. You can see that a little bit better now since we're facing the camera. So that was my trim line. It's also my placement line. So I take that edge and I put the fabric right along that edge, and now it will stitch a 1/4 inch roughly inside of that, and that is my new seam allowance. So I just place that right on the line, and the machine has moved over that 1/4 inch from the original placement. So it has given me a seam allowance built in. I don't have to do anything. What I find a lot of when I'm doing classes with this, a lot of people move the fabric thinking that that's what they need to do, or they move their fabric way over here, thinking that that is where it's going to stitch. And that's where the problem will then come in, because your piece, that if you cut it the size that the pattern told you to, you won't have a large enough piece when you fold it. If you've pushed it way over here, you'll be missing a 1/4 inch of fabric and you run out. That's probably the most common mistake, outside of people putting the fabric on the wrong side, so they're trying to fold it the wrong direction. What about you? Same?
I would agree. Absolutely.
All right, so now we have the pieces for that next square. So now we have the corners that we're going to work on, and it's going to go on this guy right here. So looks like, yep, this corner here, it's going to come towards my hand. So I'm going to try to keep that out of the way. All right, and when you're doing this, you want to make sure that your fold is going to come up and over the outside of your piece, so that you have enough to sew in when you're piecing the blocks together. So you want to make sure that you're including that outside seam allowance. The pattern pieces, when they tell you what sizes to cut, will include that, but a lot of people forget. Unfortunately, I see that happening a lot. So you can see a little bit with that light there, that outside piece here is the seam allowance. So when we fold our piece up, we need that fabric to come all the way outside of that piece, so that we have enough to sew in, and we'll trim it when we're all done, so that it's that perfect 1/4 inch seam to sew to the next piece. But you want to make sure that you're folding up all the way over. It's very, very easy to have a piece that doesn't quite fit inside of there.
So we do have the pinwheels in here, so we can work on that next. I am printing the instructions because we might not want to wing that one.
No?
No.
You're no fun. I think this is large enough.
Yeah, it looks like it will be.
I'm using scraps since as we said, we didn't print the instructions, so I don't know exactly what size I need. And I need to turn that a little bit. All right. We're going to attach that guy and fold it out. Trying to keep my hand out of there, sorry. So I realized that piece was way over, but the piece over here was not. So unfortunately I needed to scooch that in. So now you can see that I'm completely covering up that outside line by that fold. So I just need to trim off that piece there because that's way too much fabric. You would not normally need to do that. I just had a funky size piece there. All right. But not normally would that be a step.
Yeah, you would cut the pieces.
That piece would be a straight edge when you put it down. Arizona. Hi, Sam. Okay, now we're going to go for the top right corner. Starch sure would be nice.
Yeah, or a little mini iron.
Little mini iron would be good too. So again, we're going to do this upper right corner here. To get rid of all of that excess, including the blue.
Want me to hold it?
Good. Starting to run into those seams here that I can't get to because they're stitched down, so that's okay. We're just going to use the big piece.
Might as well. We have it.
Yep. All right, here we go. Corner number 2. So this really is a rinse and repeat, but you do have to pay attention to what you're doing. It's super easy to put a piece down in the wrong direction. But like I said, that excess fabric is always going towards the center of my block.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare that you start in a different position. Extremely rare.
We're about to start in some place that's not the center.
Yeah. I had a feeling. All right. Lots of trimming here. Needs to get rid of this little guy here. Now again, our amount of scrap is way more than yours would normally be.
Unless you were pulling scraps. Then you might be sitting in the same situation.
I just literally cut like 6-inch squares, so they're huge, way more than you would normally have. Way more. So again, I'm lining right up on that line, doing the same thing we've been doing. And now it will stitch in. So you can see again, there's pieces I can't cut off there. That's normal. Nothing wrong. You don't need to unsew those pieces so you can remove them. Just leave them there. One more corner. So this is one of those types of things that having that mini iron is wonderful for, because it really does help to have an iron that fits inside a 5x7 small-ish hoop.
Yep.
As wonderful as the starch pen and roller is, it does end up taking a lot of time. If you can just smack an iron in there, it's so much faster. But you can see if you don't trim, which I certainly have had my share of customers in classes going, yeah, I'm not trimming that.
It really does start
it
to
really bulks up your block quite a bit, which if you're not doing a physical quilt, you know, if it's a table centerpiece or something, not such a big deal. But if you're doing an actual quilt or something like that, you're not going to want all that weight. It's going to get really heavy if you leave all of that excess in there. So one last stitch, which will finish that out placement wise. Right, and now it's going to do a squaring stitch. So I am one of those people that I stick my hands right in there and I make sure all of that is nice and smooth as it's making its way around. You certainly can tape all of those different things. Got anything else?
No.
Again, if you've pressed as you went, it's going to
not
lie a
gonna
lot
be-
better. It's not going to be like we have it here, quite that poofy. But which way is it going?
And you can also, like, if you need to slow your machine down when you're getting close to those places, you can, to make sure it doesn't get caught on anything.
Yep.
If you have a brother or a baby lock, if you hold the
start,
stop button, and
it will stitch
slow
like
down.
this slow, really.
Yeah.
Literally that slow. So I now have, that is my actual trim line, not my seam allowance. That is my actual trim line, because you'll see that the points are 1/4 inch in here. That is my sew line.
Yep. Why don't you take that to the camera over there?
Absolutely do that.
And we can show them with
I can
the
trim it.
ruler. And I will pull up the design that
Cindy was
is having
asking.
trouble with. Yep.
All right, so here we have, I'm going to zoom down just a little bit because I zoomed up this morning. So we pop that out and you've got your piece. Again, that is going to be the trim line. Here's all my fabric pieces. Let's get that out of the way. So we have just our standard, you don't necessarily need a 60 for that, but rotary blade, a square that's not huge sized, and we have a rotating mat. Certainly going to make that a lot easier when you are trimming these smaller block sizes. I would generally be standing up. I suppose I can stand up, even though it's going to put my booty right in that picture, but that's okay. Am I blocking anything?
Nope.
Okay. So we should have a 4.5 inch square.
Do you want to zoom in a little?
I can. Give me a second.
Okay.
So remember that, you know, when you are embroidering, things do shift a little bit. So use your ruler. Don't just trust that outside stitch line.
There you go.
Okay. So with the seam allowance, this is a 4 inch square plus the 1/4 inch. So we should be at 4.5. And I am right at 4.5 here. So I'm just outside that outside. You can see the white line there, and it is just inside my 4.5 inch mark. So I know I'm even on all sides because I can visually see that through my ruler. I am going to cut. My ruler doesn't move. So the idea is that you would rotate the mat, but this ruler is
It's awesome.
is fantastic. It actually moves better than the mat does. So once I have those two sides, right? Unless I have a 4.5 inch ruler,
right.
You're going to have to lift up the ruler. So once I do that, I didn't cut down here. You're going to spin and you're going to do it again. And you're going to do the other two sides. So reline up. Can't see where I'm at. Okay, and then get your other two sides. That one's still holding on. So again, what you would do is move your rotating mat, unless you have one of these fantastic pieces, and there you have your piece. So now you have a sewing line that is perfectly in there. You can see that on the back. So it is literally all there for you.
It's perfect.
You don't have to do any other piecing other than that 1/4 inch stitch. So that is wonderfully easy.
Yes.
Though I need to press it. I think if I pressed it, it would still.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
It would be lying a little better. And commercial break.
Yes.
This morning I had a what could only be termed as a brain fart. I have nothing else to say, but we were talking about this beautiful bag this morning, and this is the direction that your instructions laid out. And I said your quilting should be down here, and my brain could not grasp that if I just did this, I could sew everything in the opposite direction. So if you did this upside down, don't panic. You don't take it all apart. Just do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then sew everything just like backwards.
Yes.
Be left-handed for a change.
Be left-handed for a
I couldn't
change.
think left-handed or left-brained or whatever the heck that is. So my brain just totally took a camp out, I guess. I don't know what.
That's okay. It happens to the best of us.
I was having a rough morning.
All right.
But
so
there you go.
Grab another hoop, and hopefully, Cindy, we're going to stitch out one of these pinwheels, and hopefully this helps. So for this one, there really is no center on this double pinwheel, so you're actually going to be starting in a slightly different place. But we have our instructions over here, so we'll be able to follow along with the instructions. The first thing that you're going to do is just like we did before, we have basically a template. So it's going to do the where all of the pieces are. And this particular one doesn't do the bottom one and the top one the same. It's going to do the bottom section as a whole, and then it's going to do the top version. So we've got a rectangle with a whole bunch of other stuff inside.
Got more than one pile, but
that's
I'll
okay.
get rid of one.
And then we've got basically 3 fabrics. So 2, 1, 2, 1. So
okay.
we can do red, white, and blue, and red, white, and blue again.
Okay, you tell me what to put where.
All right, so
should cut these in halves again.
yeah. So 1, 4, 7, and 10 is going to be white for us. And we have done this first section here. And now what it wants us to do is place piece fabric 1 right side up, covering section 1. So section 1 on this is the top triangle up here. So our fabric number, our white, do we want white to be? No, maybe.
No, we probably want a color. I would
yeah,
assume,
let's do a color. So let's do
we
blue.
want to write on this? Would that help them see?
Sure.
So when you get instructions, you get numbers that tell you
3, and then 4, 5, and then 6.
so you know which section that they're referring to. You get a map on your hoop. You also get a map in the directions.
Right.
And then it refers to section 1, section 2, or piece 1, piece 2. So it's very, very straightforward and detailed. It is not confusing. I certainly have read my fair share of confusing embroidery instructions. I almost called them destructions. These really are pretty good.
Yep.
So
we're going to start with blue.
all right, so you're going to take your blue piece and you are going to put that pretty side up, because piece number 1 is always
Up.
pretty side up.
Yep.
And then you're going to hit go. Where's 1? Did we cover 1?
We did cover 1. 1 is the top triangle. That's why
I
I said
can't
this.
see number 1, so there
it's
you
covered.
go. If you can't see number 1, then you got it going on.
Yep.
You're good.
Wait. It's important to note that I did cover number 1, but you
not the
should
direct angle.
pay attention to where it's going to go. Yes. So the angle between 1 and 2 is actually what we want. So I'm just going to make sure, I'm just going to cover this whole piece here just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
So there we go.
And just like last time, what it's doing is our trimming and our placement line.
Yep.
So now everything below that we want to remove.
Yes.
So as long as it's this small, it's really easy to do that right on the table here of your bed. And now we're going to take red, and we're going to place that right on top. So that line, when you're working these and you have angles, you always want to center your piece so that you have the excess edges on both sides. Otherwise, when you go to angle, sometimes you don't cover the whole piece. You have like an edge that's not covered. So always center your piece when you are working an angle. Straight pieces are really easy. It's really easy to see where they're going to go, and that you're going to be able to cover up that spot. But when you have an angle, it's not quite as easy. So make sure that you balance the excess off both sides. And we're going to pull that down. And now it's going to stitch this guy here, which I'm guessing is going to be white.
It is.
How about that?
How about that?
All right, so we still need to trim off everything from below that section. So do you want to get in on this action?
I mean, I can. Would you like a break?
I don't care. I feel like I'm taking over. As long as you don't feel left out.
I don't feel left out.
Okay.
Though you did tell me that I was supposed to do this afternoon, so I totally flaked on my duties.
I told you that I was not doing well, so maybe you need to. I was having a rough day, man. Seemed like everything I touched blew up. All right, so right on that line, balance your edges, pretty side down, covering the fabric that we already have laid.
Yep.
That's always the key. That was so funny. You have like a little dried spot of like
blue.
It's like, you know, a chapped lip spot, and that little spot
is blue.
Is blue. Yep, sure is. What's that look about?
I started thinking of a song that was related.
All right, so again, highly recommend that you starch, press, something, all of these folds open, down, whatever that would be.
Yep.
All right, so it's going to stitch this direction here, so I just need that one to be nice and flat. I'm sorry my hand is in the way. Okay, and now I'm getting rid of all of the stuff from the left.
Yep.
Come here, sucker.
And
I don't think that blue is stitched down there pretty good. I don't think I can get rid of that.
no, blue
right.
goes on again.
Blue goes on. Oh, then it doesn't matter.
It does not.
All right. We have a very small little blue section here.
We do.
So I'm going to use this guy here, and I'm going to set that again right along. So we're filling number 4 here. So that's the section that I need to be able to cover. So I'm going to tack that down. Whew, that's way over there. It looks much smaller.
I know. I did exactly the same thing with the first piece. I was like, I didn't get that remotely close.
All right, so I'm going to pull that back.
Yep. And now we're going to do red again after it does the...
All right, so this one's going to be a diagonal coming up into North Carolina there.
Yep.
Making a beeline for North Carolina. All right, a little bit more trimming here. And I am going to go ahead and carry that across, get rid of that. Now we've got some red that's going to go down here.
Yep.
All right, so again, pretty side down, over top where my fabrics already are, and my edge is covering and balanced on that stitch.
So hopefully this is helping, Cindy.
This was on the list anyways.
It was already in there.
All right, so now we're going to pull that little guy down. All right, and now it's going to come down this whole little guy here for
White.
the white. Yep. Looks like a whole lot of nothing at the moment.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Whole lot of nothing. I got some trimming to do. All right. Get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Right-handed and right-brained. Who would have known? Oh, is that? That's going this way. There we go. I'm like, where is that going? Trying to unthread us. Working really hard at it, but I didn't succeed. All right, pretty side down. We're gonna cover up that number 6 there. So this is taking a pinwheel, which could be construed as a not the simplest of pieces, half square triangles, but within half square triangles. So some tiny little ones in there.
Yep.
And it is doing all the work for us, which is really why it's so wonderful. So now we're just going to, once again, do a squaring stitch. Get off there. It doesn't want to go.
It does not. Not even a little bit.
No, it's staying right there.
It's very stubborn.
All right, and now it's that squaring stitch, which
Right. It doesn't look like anything right now. It looks like just a bunch of blobs of fabric.
it really kind of does. Trying to keep that tight there because we didn't press. But I guess it'll be what it is, right?
Yeah.
So it looks a little bit more like something now, but it's still kind of confusing with all that excess fabric around the outside.
And now it's going to do a duplicate, which is probably not necessarily important to do, but you need 2 of these that you can sew together to make your double pinwheel. So you can't really do all 4 of these nicely in the hoop, but you can do 2 sets of 2 nicely. So the only thing that you would have to do is sew those 2 sections together to get your pinwheel. So Cindy said that was helpful. So hopefully that made a little bit more sense.
And you guys, if you know what a pinwheel is anyways, that you can see the colors and then the blanks that makes it look like it's going around.
Absolutely.
Remember when we used to blow on the,
yes.
and they'd spin. That's kind of what we're looking at here. So I'm just getting rid of the bulk so that, just push that back a little bit.
Yep.
So that is the first half, and then you would add the twist of it
Yes.
on the other side, and
Yep.
sew right there, and
Yep.
boom.
And so you've got your piece here, right? So and then this pinwheel twists to this way, and then this one goes in this direction, and so essentially like your red and your blue, they keep turning, and so does your white to create your pinwheel.
And you get each of these that spin each way around, and that makes it look like it's a spinning pinwheel.
Yes, absolutely.
But it can be very confusing when you've got the smaller pieces inside of the, anyway, it's really nice to be able to do that. I've had to sew these many times for,
Yeah, a lot less bias edges working in this direction, which is really nice because you can make a bias edge almost any size you want. And then, yeah, it really makes a nice mess when it's coming back together. So anyways, that's a little bit about how to make pieced blocks in your hoop. There are, like I said, you might already own several different versions of these depending on how many
different things that you
quilt,
have
pillows
picked up
or
and
things that you have purchased from Kimberbell. So not a lot of questions right now, but if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to ask them. We'll talk a little bit about some stuff. So Perfectly Pieced is coming up at the end of this week. And
if you were thinking about it and this made you say, oh yeah, I could totally do that, you can access the link to subscribe to Perfectly Pieced off of our website.
Or off of the description from this video.
Yep,
because I
that
linked it there.
too. So nice and simple.
Sometimes I'm smart.
We try. But yes, so it really is a nice feature, and that is available again in 2 different ways with just the designs. So, you know, you want to make it your own stash buster and just use your fabrics, or maybe check out and see what we're going to do with those. Or you can have that mailed to your home and you'll get a
goodie box.
A goodie box, kind of like a Bella box, but quilting related instead of miscellaneous projects things, and that will be a monthly thing. So either way, you will be able to get the digital designs.
Yes.
So the digital option or a mailed option. And I'm excited. I think it'll be really neat.
I love getting a goodie box at home.
Absolutely. It's fun. And again, I have had my share of other company versions of this. Their instructions are better than most. So I'm excited because I think it's going to open a lot of doors. And they also, from what I've seen, have, hey, you have this, you could make this, this, and this. So I think they're going to also be giving some
different tips
and
different ways of putting this
different
stuff together.
things that you could make with that square in different blending of things.
Yeah, and it sounds like each month you'll be able, because they're going to give the specific sizes, you'll be able to piecemeal different blocks from the second or the 5th month with the first month.
In month 5, they may say, well, you know, I took month 1 block and month 3 block and did this along with this one. So, you know, that they're going to combine things as well.
Yes.
So
it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and we are both super excited for it. And a couple of other things that we have coming up here. You have the Kimberbell Winter Wonderland. Next week. Yes, next week, Wednesday and Friday.
So
we
it's
have
a 2-day event.
Yes.
Yep.
And we will be closed this weekend. So we're going to close on Saturday. And then, of course, we'll be closed Monday for the 4th of July.
Yep.
We aren't closed online, though. So you can, if you need anything.
And we'll both be checking emails, like always. So,
yeah. So if you have a question this weekend, don't call, email us. And we will do our best to get.
Nobody's checking messages.
No, that's the real honest truth is don't call.
Don't
if
call
nobody
when we're
answers the phone, hang up and send an email or call back. Yeah, the answering machine is pretty archaic, and it doesn't. It's not.
And we certainly can't check it when we're not here. So.
Right.
There you go. So hopefully this helped understand how to do the whole in the hoop quilting aspect and explain how Perfectly Pieced can fit in your life if you would like it to. And I'm excited about it.
I know.
I can't wait to see what. And there's also, of course, going to be a goodie. So who knows what the goodie's going to be?
Right.
That's the fun part.
I know. Who doesn't? So. I love getting. I mean, definitely a gadget person.
Oh, no doubt.
So, yeah, I can't wait to see what Kimberbell curates for us.
I know.
It'll be very exciting.
I'm excited as well. And I think it's not interesting, that's not the word, fun, that it's not going to, and somebody asked as well, it's not just Kimberbell fabrics. It is other brands of fabric that they are curating to build that fabric stash in there. So it's not just a matter of more Kimberbell fabric. It's not what it's going to be.
No, it's not. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm interested in it. It's been, you tend to gravitate towards the same types of fabric. you know, like when we look at fabrics, we both are drawn to certain styles.
Right.
And oftentimes it's,
funny,
the same people.
Same people and the same color schemes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we have to like force ourselves to buy brown
Mm-hmm.
or whatever
about,
that is,
yeah,
you know, it's like,
those
oh,
neutrals.
we don't have this. We specifically write on our list, buy brown, buy this,
Buy
you know,
cream,
buy
buy
cream,
beige,
because we
yes.
don't gravitate towards those naturally. And when you buy fabric, I'm sure you're the same way, because you have that same, you know, I mean, we've all bought the exact same thing and gotten home and we went, son of a gun, I already have that. Because we have that same
fabric.
gut reaction to that same color. And
We're drawn to it.
We are. So it's an opening experience to let someone else do that for you. And
Right.
it's
Maybe
a lot
we'll
of fun.
fall in love with
and
a new
fall in
fabric
with something
designer.
new.
Or,
And
yeah.
so I think that it's fun, and it also gives us the chance, by curating something to coordinate with that, to come up with some fun things as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be, it's a new opportunity. We haven't really done that. So, you know, I mean, we certainly have altered or added to the Bella box, but this is something completely different. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to it, and looking forward to all of you joining
Wait
us.
to share
So
it with you all. Yes.
we will, whenever that happens,
Yes.
we'll have fun with you. So, all right, enjoy. We will see some of you on Thursday. We have one more live this week.
Yes.
So
Thursday
for those
morning.
of you who are not doing Bella Box, have a wonderful 4th weekend.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next week. But for all of you doing the Bella Box, we'll see you in a couple of days.
Yeah.
All right, have a great one.
Bye.
I thought you were waving to me at first.